today. We still have a number of people who are joining, so we'll start in about 3 minutes. All right, let's get started. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining today. My name is Brian Friedman. I'm the GVP of Sales at SoftClouds, and we're happy to have you join us for our webinar today on Oracle Service Cloud and Managed Services. So to begin with, we'd like to give you just an overview of what Service Cloud is, how it works, and why having a service platform is so important in business today. So when we look at CX and service, we see that there's a number of reasons why we need to have a good, modern, robust service platform to work with customers. The primary reasons are that people really react to a service platform and the ability to engage with a company to have a robust, enjoyable, and most importantly, a responsive service relationship with the company. It can do a number of things when you have the appropriate type of service platform to work with your customers, not the least of which is it makes them happy to be able to get answers to their questions, to be able to get responses from the company, and all of that ultimately leads to building better brand value and helping the company make better business decisions in understanding the interactions that take place between the company and the customers. So if we look at some statistics, you can see that having a robust service platform really does make a difference. 90% of people will decide on a company to do business with based on the type of service platform they have and the type of service interactions they have with the company. And probably one of the most important things, and I think we're all guilty of this, but we also all know about it, is that customers share bad experiences, not necessarily so much good experiences, but inevitably bad experiences are shared, and that hurts the brand. Customers will leave a brand if they're not happy, and they don't generally complain directly to the company. The company won't even know why that customer has left. They had a bad relationship, they had a bad interaction, and ultimately they left the brand, and they'll tell other people about it. So being able to have a modern, robust customer experience is extremely important and necessary for a company to build the relationships that it needs throughout the life cycle of the company. So let's talk about the Oracle Service Cloud and some of the features that Service Cloud has. Oracle Service Cloud offers a robust B2C solution that allows the company to interact with customers, to allow the customers to interact with the company, and to get answers for questions, problems, issues, anything that might be necessary for the customer to have a good relationship with the company. It also allows for what's called an omni-channel experience. And what that means is that the customer service relationship can take place through a number of different channels, whether it's web, it's chat, it's online, it's mobile. All of those things can take place at almost any time. So it's easy for the customer to interact. It's also easy for the customer to be able to have a consistent experience, because all of these interactions, even though they might come through different channels, will take place in one place, and all of the information is gathered into a central repository. So what you can do is you can use automation to provide a very high-value customer experience. So if we look at the various components of the Oracle Service Cloud suite, it contains the 7 elements that are laid out here. And we'll go into each of these in a bit more depth so you can understand what's involved in each of these sections, what it means, and how it works for the customer experience. So beginning with the B2C customer service portion, what this does is it allows the customer to have a frictionless interaction with the company. And all of this is done through an automated methodology where we use these various channels, as I was talking about, to allow the customer to communicate with the company if they're looking for answers to questions, if they have some issues, if there's possibly some areas where they're trying to get assistance or help, warranty or repairs. Any of those things can all be done in this B2C platform. And what it really does is it provides innovative service because the company is able to see the interactions, understand those interactions, and use that information to better themselves in the future with other customer interactions. We also have digital customer service, and what that means is this omni-channel that we're talking about, that the customer can interact with the company at any level, whether it's through the web, whether it's through mobile, whether it's through chat, self-service. Any of these things can be used for the customer to interact with the company, to gain the information that they need, and ultimately, if they have to have a direct communication with the customer service reps at the company to get resolution of their issues. The Service Center, what that really means is that this is the place, the repository where all of these customer interactions are maintained. And what that allows for is this unified method of the customer service agent or the company itself to know all of the interactions that take place between the customer and the company. And what this really does is it makes sure that we've got this end-to-end relationship. We've got this ability to see all of the different ways that the customer is interacting with the company and to make sure that there's consistency in the path to resolution as well. One of the most frustrating things that a customer can have is perhaps a phone call with a customer service rep followed by an email or chat session, and there's no understanding on the customer service reps what took place before. So using Service Cloud, using the capabilities and the functionality of this omni-channel experience, we're able to deliver that consistent relationship. So the next rep who picks up the communication knows what's taken place before and doesn't require the customer to go through all of this information, all of the background again. Knowledge management is a very big piece of customer service because what it allows us to do is to have a centralized source of truth. And what that means is that knowledge and answers to questions exist in one location and can be utilized by internal representatives as well as customers. So what this gives us the ability to do is to have consistency in answers that are given to various questions. When we use knowledge management, there's a lot of different ways that the customer can self-serve. In other words, they can go into a knowledge base or frequently asked questions database and ask the questions, find answers to their questions. And what this allows us to do then is to really deflect questions so that it doesn't require the interaction of a live agent. However, if the customer can't find the answers to the questions they're looking for, they certainly can request a live agent, have a chat, or have a direct communication to get the answers to the questions that they're looking for. The nice thing about the knowledge base is both the customer and the agent are drawing from the same knowledge base so that there's consistency of what's communicated to the customer time after time, and there's no tribal knowledge or some things that interfere or get in the way of consistency of information and responses. And field service is a big part of the service platform itself. We all are dealing with service agents coming to our house or coming to our office. And what the field service platform does is it automates this entire experience. We have a number of instances where customers of ours are using very manual processes to maintain their field service force. And what they'll do with this is there could be a large board in the scheduler's room or Excel spreadsheets or whatever it might be, but it's a very manual process. The field service application that's part of the Service Cloud suite allows for all of this to be modernized, to have routing and scheduling done in a very organized way, a very cost-effective way, and it allows for the field force, to be able to really be managed in a much more efficient way. There's a mobile piece to this as well, so that the agents out in the field are able to know where they're supposed to be, to communicate with the dispatcher as well as the customers. The customer can be informed of the status of the technician or person that's coming to visit them. And all of this is really done in a very collaborative, very modern way. The other part of this is we can use the field service application to make the field service rep or the agent really a revenue source, as opposed to just someone going out to perform service. They can do selling of products, services, whatever it might be. All of these things can be guided along through the field service application. Intelligent Advisor is an interesting piece of the Service Cloud suite of products. And the reason is it's a very guided experience to take either an agent or a customer through a particular set of questions to get to an ultimate response. It's very much like a decision tree, where the questions are organized in a particular order, and it goes through, asks a question, if a certain response, and it goes to one next question. If it's a different response, it goes to a different question. All of that really allows for a very automated process and a very automated workflow that allows a customer to self-serve and find a way to get to a particular answer or a particular resolution. And it gives the right advice and decisions every time. So it can be interviews, it can be analytics, it can be any number of things, but the Intelligent Advisor application allows for a very organized way to get from a particular starting point to an endpoint or a decision. Customer data management is really nothing more than a way to cleanse data, to make sure that it's clean, to make sure that it's accurate. And all of this allows us to bring data into the Service Cloud platform so that we can migrate from existing databases into the new Service Cloud platform and make sure that it's all clean, there's no duplicates, that the things really were coming in with the appropriate type of information. So the entire suite itself is very robust, very powerful, has a number of different components, and allows us to get to a point where we have very good data, very good decision-making, and a very good customer experience with the company. So when we look at what's been going on with the Service Cloud platform, Oracle has made a number of innovations over the past several years. Everything from going to a browser UI interface, the knowledge base that we discussed before, Intelligent Advisor that we just discussed, and on the digital customer service side, everything from live chat to a digital assistant, co-browse, which allows for the agent to be able to see the screen of the customer, understand where their pain points or their difficulties are, and really a live experience. So all of this has made the Service Cloud platform very robust, very modern, and a very good tool for customers to use to interact. So what I'd like to do now is share with you 3 specific implementations that we've done where the implementation itself has led to a long-term relationship with the customer and the ability for us to provide ongoing managed services to the customer after we did the implementation. The first one is PG&E, which is Portland General Electric. They're a utility based in the Northwest, and they're very modern in terms of their approach, looking to become very carbon neutral, very green over the coming years. And they're finding ways not only to be modern in their approach to energy delivery, but also modern in their approach to interacting with their customers. The difficulty that they had is that they were on an outdated knowledge management platform. And because of that, they were having a great deal of difficulty with workflow management, with the creation of articles, with the ability to have customers find the information that they needed, as well as the agents not able to find easily and efficiently answers to the questions that they were being asked from customers. So they saw that they were reaching the end of life with this particular platform. It did not have integration to their legacy systems. It was not modern and up to date. And it wasn't easy to use for the agents creating new content, as well as the customers trying to find answers. So what we did is we moved them onto the Knowledge Advance platform, which is part of the Service Cloud environment. And what this did is it gave them a very modern UI UX that allowed for customers to be able to find answers to their questions 24/7. And it allowed for ease of the content creators to be able to develop new content. And when we did this, we provided a tagging tool so that any of the information that was created could be identified when someone came in as a customer for a search, or when the agents were trying to find information in response to a question that they were being asked from a customer. And the search was significantly improved as a result of this. We got rid of all the manual formatting that took place in the prior platform, and we were able to give them a very modern way to create content and to be able to tag that content for ease in finding information that was needed on an ongoing basis. Not only did we provide the implementation and the migration of the content for PGE, we also are providing ongoing services to them through a managed services agreement to maintain their knowledge base, to help them improve it, and to create certain integrations to new platforms that they're implementing over time. The second example is Kawasaki, a well-known company for their leisure vehicles. And they've been in the United States for about 40 years now. And they've really created a very interesting model, an interesting business. And even during the pandemic, what we found is that where other companies were suffering, Kawasaki was growing significantly because people were looking for outlets. They were looking for ways to get out and do things. And Kawasaki had the vehicles to be able to allow them to do that. So their challenge when we started working with them was that when they started in 1966 in the United States, they built a mainframe homegrown system to maintain all of their records, all of the information. They had 50 years of old data that they were storing in this mainframe, and the agents were pulling this up on basically a green screen. They had a very old system. It was reliable, but it wasn't very modern at all, and it wasn't very customer friendly to be able to use it. So they didn't have this customer 360 view that we talked about. They didn't have the ability to maintain these records in the cloud, and there were no multi-channel capabilities. It was very omni-channel. Customer had to come in by phone, have an interaction with a customer service rep, who then went into this legacy system to find this information. So it wasn't scalable. It was very clumsy in terms of how it operated. And it was very expensive to operate because of the call center requests and the needs that were placed on the call center on an ongoing basis. So what we did is we modernized the Kawasaki platform into Service Cloud. And what we found is that there were significant improvements in all of the areas in Kawasaki and how they handled and maintained these records, as well as how they interacted with their customers. They gained a much higher efficiency on repair campaigns. They had a way to effectively manage email campaigns or emails incoming and outgoing. The managers were much more productive. The warranty claims were much more productive and easily handled. And what they were able to do is significantly reduced the amount of time and money they spent in maintaining their mainframe platform. They had this 360 environment that we discussed, so that there were multiple ways that customers could get information, could get answers to their questions, and the productivity of the entire team increased significantly. We've continued with Kawasaki on a managed services basis for about 4 years after we did the implementation for them with this platform. And we continue every year to make improvements and modifications that allow them to keep making this platform better, more responsive, more effective for their customers. Our last example is a company called Ocuvax, which is a very interesting company based in Omaha, Nebraska, that does on-site flu clinics for companies. So as an example, a company like SoftClouds goes to Ocuvax. They say, we want to do a flu clinic at our office. We set a date, and Ocuvax manages to the entire process of signing up our employees, sending out the appropriate supplies, bringing a nurse in to do the vaccines, and conducting the clinic in our offices on a particular date. So what Ocuvax's problem is that they had grown through a very manual process. They were really doing everything manually, from having the company come to them to set up a flu clinic, to managing to the process of people signing up, finding the nurses and sending those out, and then manually handling the shipping and return process also of all of the different elements to manage to the clinic on site. So what we've done is we moved them to the Oracle Service Cloud platform, and we completely modernized the way that they did business. Everything from the process of having the company sign up to have a clinic done at the location, to having the employees sign up for the flu vaccines, and then also managing to finding the nurse to conduct the clinic, and shipping the materials to go to the clinic or the company itself. We also, through our mobile team, we built a mobile application for them, so that within the supplies that were sent to the company office, there was a tablet where the nurse on site could manage to the entire process. People could check in, they would sign the privacy documents, the nurse would conduct the flu vaccine, and also log that into the tablet itself. And then the tablet, along with any leftover materials, would be shipped back to Ocuvax. So all of this significantly reduced the cost of operations and made them much more effective and efficient in the way that they did business. We, after we did the implementation with Ocuvax, on a yearly basis, we go back, we do an assessment with them to see what has gone right, what has gone wrong. Obviously, in the 4 years since we started this project, the pandemic had a significant impact on them and a significant impact in the way that they did business. And every year, through our managed services arrangement with them, we continue to make changes, to make modifications, to make improvements in their platform, so that they're constantly improving and constantly modernizing the way that they do business and their methodology in the Service Cloud platform. So let's talk a little bit about the types of help and the types of services that we can offer. So really what we're looking at here is three different categories: managing the Service Cloud platform, maintaining it, and modernizing it. So on the managed side, Oracle, with all of their cloud applications, will provide quarterly updates. And as part of our managed services arrangement, we will manage to those quarterly updates. And that means a lot of things. Quite often, there's integrations within the application. Sometimes there are specific modifications that have been made, various things that might have been done to make that application work properly for our customers. What we'll go through and do prior to any upgrade being consumed, we'll make sure that everything works properly. We'll validate that the integrations are correct, that they'll continue to work. We'll look at any of the things that we might have customized and make sure that those are going to operate properly as well. And then we'll be in communication with the Oracle support team so that if there's anything that we see, if there's any issues that we find before we move to a newer environment, we make sure that anything is resolved so that there won't be any issues once that upgrade takes place. We also manage to Oracle service requests. So what this really means is if there's any issues, if there's any ongoing problems with anything in the Oracle environment, then we manage to that to make sure that everything is done properly. We work with the Oracle support team and the Oracle service requests to make sure that everything is resolved quickly, efficiently, and so that everything continues to work properly for our customers. And then we also look at the service usage metrics. And really what that means is we make sure that there's compliance along the way with the licensing that our customers have done with Oracle Service Cloud. And we want to make sure that there's no surprises at the end of a quarter or end of a year of licensing where Oracle comes in and says, there's overages in this particular area or that. We make sure that we're operating within compliance along the way. And then data migration, which is really something that's done more at the front end of the project, but this is where we take existing data from the legacy systems that our customers are using, and we move that data into the Oracle Service Cloud environment. We make sure that it matches up properly. It's cleansed, it goes through, and we make sure there's not duplicates. And we want to make sure that we have clean data going into the Service Cloud environment when we make this change. On the maintenance side, what we really do is we look to optimize the way the agent desktop operates. And we want to make sure that on both sides of the platform, on the agent side as well as the customer side, everything's working properly. It's a clean, useful environment. This might be UI, UX issues. It could be performance issues, any number of things to make sure that the interaction of the customer with the company through the Service Cloud platform is enjoyable, efficient, and at the end of the day is really providing them with the ultimate output that they're looking for, which is an answer to the question. We can create widgets which will allow the opportunity to have shortcuts or different ways for customers that can get answers to things that we see are being asked frequently. So what we very often find in looking at the analytics is if the customers are asking certain repetitive questions or certain tasks that they're looking to complete, we can create widgets. We can provide shortcuts to enable them to get to that more quickly and take away a number of the steps that are required to get to the ultimate result that they're looking for. And then APIs, of course, are used to access different external systems, whether it's an application or a database or other things. We can create them, we can modify them, and especially when we talk again about the quarterly updates, we want to make sure that those APIs continue to work properly after an upgrade takes place from the Oracle side. Support tickets we've already talked about, but it's really dealing with the support side of Oracle, and then also on certain things that we might provide through our managed services agreement in supporting our customers to make sure that their systems continue to run smoothly, properly, and efficiently for the best results. Customer data management we've talked about in terms of cleansing and making sure that the data that goes into the system and the data that's maintained there is always up to date and not duplicative, so that we have a clean environment that we're working on. Knowledge, which we talked about before, is really about maintaining articles, indexing the articles to make sure that everything is updated, that new articles that are written are part of the database. And we always do this because in the knowledge side, it's necessary to look at the analytics to see what questions are being asked, and to make sure that the answers that the customers are getting are relevant for their questions. If they aren't, then it's time to update the answers or the article to make sure that we're providing the best response, the quickest response to a customer's questions. And then on the modernization side, a lot of this has to do with making sure that we've always got a modern CX that gives the right environment for the customer to be able to get to the information they need and to provide a pleasant user experience as well. And what we find for this is anything from modernizing or changing the UI, the UX, and evolve the application over a period of time based on information that we see, based on the analytics that we receive, based on the way that we see the customers are interacting. And again, also to make sure that they're satisfied with the responses they're getting. So we often use polling questions or questionnaires to make sure that the customer has gotten the information they need, they got it quickly, they're satisfied with the response. And all of that really allows us to keep the program, the application fresh, keep it operating the way that we want, make sure that we're always consuming the upgrades as Oracle issues them, and to bring in new channels and new enhancements that come along throughout the time. So with that, just a quick little synopsis of who we are. SoftClouds is based in San Diego. We were founded in 2005. We have 2 development facilities in India and a sales office in Tokyo, Japan. And we focus primarily on majors and enterprise customers. This conversation was about Oracle Service Cloud managed services. However, we provide managed services for all of the different applications that we work with, and would certainly be happy to talk about any of those going forward and how we might be able to work with you in that regard. These are our Service Cloud capabilities, and we would look forward to an opportunity to talk to you and see how we might be able to work with you and how we might be able to help you going forward. If there's any questions, if not, we will conclude the webinar. Great. Thank you very much for your time. We appreciate your joining us today, and have a great day. Thank you.